You are watching a 14th century siege train assemble at a tree line, and the lead wagon axle, alone, already carries more weight than a modern interstate bridge is rated to survive. This is not a story about catapults. It is a story about tonnage, axle, load, and the quiet mathematics of collapse. A single trebuchet counterweight box could hold 30,000 kilograms of packed stone and sand. Moving that mass required a wheeled cradle riding on axles never designed for concentrated point loads. We are looking at a rolling weight class closer to a main battle tank than a supply cart. The American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials publishes the LRFD, Bridge Design Specifications, the modern rulebook every American highway bridge is built against. It sets single axle load limits around 32,000 kilograms before structural fatigue begins to accumulate. A medieval siege wagon wheel met the road through a narrow iron-rimmed timber rim barely 8 centimeters wide. Concentrate 30,000 kilograms onto that narrow contact patch, and the resulting ground pressure exceeds 6 megapascals, enough to punch through a modern asphalt wearing course in a single pass. Modern flexible pavement is engineered to spread load through layered asphalt, aggregate base, and compacted subgrade, bleeding pressure outward so the soil beneath only feels a fraction of the surface force. A siege wagon bypasses that system entirely, delivering its full load through a single, narrow line, not a distributed footprint. Roman engineer Vitruvius, writing in De Architectura, documented siege engines built heavy enough to survive their own recoil. Those same principles, translated into modern axle weight terms, describe a rolling load a contemporary timber footbridge was never built to carry. Every time a concentrated load crosses a bridge deck, the structure absorbs a microstrain event, a tiny flex invisible to the eye, but recorded in the steel's fatigue life. Engineers call this cyclic loading, and it is why bridges are rated not just for maximum weight, but for how many times that weight can safely cross. A single trebuchet did not travel alone. Historian Jim Bradbury, in The Medieval Siege, documents supply trains hauling stone shot, timber, iron fittings, and grain in convoys of 100 wagons, each one grinding across the same narrow track and the same fragile crossing points. Run that convoy across a single modern highway bridge, and you are no longer testing peak load. You are testing fatigue accumulation, 100 consecutive high-pressure cycles, concentrated into a single afternoon, each wagon adding another crack-length increment to a structure built for distributed traffic, not siege logistics. Off the paved surface, the math gets worse. Ordinary subgrade soil under a modern secondary road is rated for a bearing capacity of roughly 150 kilopascals before it deforms. A loaded siege wagon on soft shoulder ground can drive local pressure past 600 kilopascals, 4 times the failure threshold, and the wheel simply sinks. Once one wagon sinks, the entire train stalls behind it. Oxen cannot pull a buried axle free without additional teams, and every added team brings its own hooves, its own point loads, its own churned mud to a roadway already past its bearing limit. The convoy fails all at once at the point of least soil strength. Translate this directly onto a modern interstate. The lead wagons would clear the reinforced highway surface. The heavier trailing carts, especially anything hauling packed trebuchet, counterweight stone, would begin exceeding posted bridge weight limits within the first few crossings, triggering the same load restriction closures engineers issue today for overweight trucks. Multiply one stalled convoy by the scale of an actual medieval campaign, and you are not looking at a delay. You are looking at a systemic failure cascade. Cracked pavement, posted bridge closures, buried axles, and a supply chain that grinds to a permanent stop under its own logistics weight. You began by watching a 14th century siege train assemble at a tree line, certain the danger was the trebuchet at the front. The real danger was never the weapon. It was the tonnage behind it, patiently waiting to collapse every road built to carry something lighter.